Okay, hello everybody. It's Doug here again with the LincolnList.com doing another whiteboard lesson for you. Today's topic is a very popular topic, one that seems to come by at least a dozen or so times per week, and that is, how much do you guys make? How much do traders make? So we've already talked about how long it takes to become a professional trader. So once you become professional, what could you expect as far as an income? Now this is a little bit more difficult to answer, because a lot of it has to depend on what kind of trader you are. And I mean by, are you working at a prop firm? Are you trading someone else's money on a larger account like assets under management? Or are you just a standard retail trader? And for the purpose of just doing this video, we're going to just talk about just retail traders, just standard, sitting at home in your undies, trading stocks. What can you expect to make? It's also a difficult question to answer because, of course, as we've talked about in so many other past whiteboards, every trader is different with their learning curve and how they approach their business and their risk appetite. But we're trying to give you a general benchmark of what to expect. So we're going to do this in a segment of years. So let's say you have year one, then you have year two, and then you have years three. Now, as I discuss these, we're going to talk about something that predates this, which is, we'll call it the time years, okay? For lack of a better word. And when I'm talking about 1, 2, and 3 years, where I'm going with this is what you can expect to make after you have become consistent, in air quotes. We've talked about consistency, of course, a lot, and consistency is a very important thing. So once you have become a consistent trader, this is what you could expect to make. The period that we talk here is how long this will necessarily take for someone, which we touched a little bit on that subject in the past whiteboard that was entitled, how long does it take to become a professional trader? Because in the very beginning of someone's career, as I just mentioned, they have different goals. Some people, when they start out, they can't trade full-time. They have to trade part-time. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people start out with smaller balances, which was also covered in the past whiteboard. How much money do I need to start trading with? So all of those factors, once you have reached a certain level, sometimes it's a year or two for someone because of their account size, because of a prior commitment, part-time jobs, learning curve, or whatever it is. So once you've got to this point where you are consistent, what can you expect out of year one in trading? And I'd say once you've been consistent in the first year, you should expect to make anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, and this is as a day trader, and probably a little bit towards the upper area of $50,000 in your first year. Now, the things that kind of hold you back in the first year, again, some topics that we've talked about in past whiteboards, is during that first year, you've learned how stocks work. You've developed a system, but what you've yet to be exposed to is different kind of market nuances, such as things like flash crashes, bear markets, several Fed announcements, interest rate increases. So, a lot of times when traders come in here, this is why we always talk about, who do you trust when they teach you how to trade stocks? Because 1 year, somebody might know how stocks work, but are they authorized to teach you how to trade stocks? You'll have to make that decision, of course, for yourself, because it takes a while to be involved in the market before you feel as if, hey, I've seen just about everything. I've seen that before. I lived through that before. I've been in a bull market. I've been in a bear market. I've been in a crisis. I've had oil crises, commodity crises, all kinds of things that have been thrown at me. And I feel after a certain amount of time, I've seen that. So it's difficult in that first year for a trader because even though they may be profitable, they're still learning how markets work. And that's going to be the biggest hold up there. Now in year two, once you got a little bit more experience, you've seen a couple of different market cycles, I'd say you're going to be averaging anywhere from about 75,000 upwards of 100K. Okay, somewhere in that, because by this time you've learned from some of your mistakes. Maybe you had some issues, baggage from the learning phase that you were carrying around, such as revenge trading, anxiety issues, psychological issues. And as those first 1 or 2 years come by, even though you're making money, you're still continuing, and you always will be in some regards, you're still continuing to hone your skills and to work on yourself and to work on your behaviors. And of course, in year three, once you've made it to this point, if you're consistent, you pretty much are going to be looking for anywhere from about 150K to 1 million. Just depending, again, this will all come into where you develop yourself. Now, there's always that, people always say, well, shouldn't you just continue to make more and more money every year? Well, in theory, yeah, you should. But there's always that level or that peak out level where we as traders sort of nestle into. And we've kind of discussed this a little bit. It's more of a psychological thing, and I'll kind of touch on it a little bit. But what happens in this case is that you reach a comfort zone or a great level. And in order for you to break through that, you have to, once you get into these years, you have to do it slowly, little step by step and baby steps to continue to grow your income at higher levels, because you've got so comfortable with what you're doing. You've developed a psychological behavior based on your risk tolerances. So once you start taking on more risks, taking on more trades, you find yourself actually going backwards, which every trader despises. So it's very delicate here to continue to grow, but your growth will be slower. So your growth in income will be high between years 1 and 2, a little lower in years 3, and past that, it'll be little tiny increments of growth. Because again, here you were learning and you had a lot to learn, and here you've learned a lot, and it's going to take you, you're just still trying to continue to hone the way that you do things. I think that most day traders, as I said, they're going to fall in between the 150 to 1 million range, depending on the type of market it is, depending on the year, depending on their strategy, and of course, their risk. Again, I do want to say, as I give you these examples, these are just benchmarks, and I never want people to judge themselves by a benchmark. I really hate that, because I said so many times, everybody is different in the way they approach this business. Maybe you're somebody that will just float around 75 to 100K. That's a great life. I mean, it's not what you see on social media with, fancy sports cars, models, and private jets, but if you're getting up every day, working your own schedule, taking the days off that you want, working part-time in your underwear behind a computer, and you're banking 75 to 100K, you can be doing a lot of worse things in life. It's all up to you where you fit in. So these, again, are benchmarks where you may do better. Heck, you may come over here and you might be a $2 to $3 million trader. Or you might end up getting hired by a high-level prop firm where you can make even more than that. So really, for a retail trader, essence, the sky is the limit. I mean, you can make as much as you want. But it all starts right here, in that very delicate entry phase. For some people this might be 6 months. For some people this might be a year, 2 years, 5 years. The faster you want to make this is based on the commitment level that you have. Doing things that, studying hard, understanding the market, learning, becoming a student of the market, picking the right types of mentors who have been in these phases and can share with you what you got to do to get out of this. Because unfortunately, so many traders, they stop right here. This is game over for them. They'll try it 6, 7 months. They don't make it into any kind of consistency, and they just give up. And that's wrong, because the reason I'm really doing this video is because to let you know that you struggle here, but your ultimate goal and your ultimate payoff is here. If you go to school, you want to be an attorney, you want to be a doctor, you want to have a really high profile, you want to be an engineer, you want to have a high profile career, making 6 figures. You got to do this. You got to go to schools, year 1, 2, 3, and 4, some 8, some 10, to get this kind of income. So it doesn't matter how long trading takes. Always consider that as your educational, paying your market dues and doing your work, because this is what the payoff is to get up there in that year 3 and make your $1 million. So, as always, if you guys need some help, feel free to reach out to me. Support at thelincolnlist.com. If you ever have any questions about how to trade, or just stop by thelincolnlist.com, take a free trial to our live trade room, see us trade live, cut some of this learning curve out for yourself so you can survive and live to tell about it in years 2 and 3. Until next whiteboard lesson, thank you very much for watching this video. Take care.